certain Mississippi senator years ago for comments positive towards Strom Thurmond, a segregationist. He didn't have to resign from leadership in a realistic sense because his voters in Mississippi would have sent him back another 6 years, maybe if he had made even more controversial comments. So when we think about this interplay, I think black voters overall, and this is one of the challenges Joe Biden has experienced in retaining popularity, is the economics aspect and the realization that there is more distinction between social conservatism or liberalism and fiscal conservatism and liberalism, and the black community does not see the economic benefits. Many people, this is a census thing, not a party thing, are looking at not going to church, not having those same socially conservative values. So when you remove that attraction or area of social concern or social welfare, and you say, let's just look at the money, well, which party is doing the most for us? And I do think the Democratic Party has said, we don't have to do as much for these people because they're going to show up, versus this other community, we need to entice them. There are more of them. The economic power is growing. And there's a better chance that if we can swing them, it'll reduce the turnout.
Be a return to the Trump border policy in one very significant respect. It would deter migrants from coming to the U.S. by restricting access to the overloaded asylum program. This is a big development, especially for a Democratic administration, and officials are considering it because of the record numbers of migrant crossings over the past few years. 2.4 million migrants apprehended at the border just in the past fiscal year. And so now they're looking at a law known as 212F that has been on the books for more than 70 years. It allows the president to suspend the entry of foreigners when it's determined that their arrival is detrimental to the interests of the United States. Use that same law to justify an attempted ban on visitors from some Muslim-majority countries. That faced legal challenges, and this almost certainly would again. So why would Mr. Biden attempt it then? Well, because he's gotten an earful from Democratic governors and mayors who say their cities are inundated by new migrants. He does not poll well on this issue, and it is an election year.
All right, now that guy who was talking was I believe he's a sociologist from the University of Texas, right? Some white guy, right? Explaining it to you, what their rationale is behind open borders and bringing in all of the immigrants, right? And why they're flooding the cities with immigrants, you see? Now do you understand, right? It's to diffuse the black vote. And diffuse and nullify the black vote. Simple as that, right? I mean, so we don't have to make this too long and drawn out. I mean, if you don't, either you get it or you don't get it, right? It's real simple. Either you get it or you don't get it. So, and I made this statement before, black people have no more political capital. You blew your political capital with Barack Obama. And then you turned around and put a nail in your coffin with Joe Biden, his running mate, his vice president. You couldn't see this coming? Like, how stupid do you have to be, right? You didn't see this coming? What the man explained to you, that they was gonna diffuse your vote, and that's what they was using Obama for, to waste your time until they could figure out how to get enough immigrants in the country that will vote against you, right? And diffuse your vote. That way they don't need you anymore. But it gets worse. Because what's gonna happen after that is gonna be akin to ethnic cleansing, right? So, because you gotta figure it like this. Once you lose the vote, right? See, black people are stupid in America. They don't understand what politics is about. Politics is about bargaining and trying to go through a political process to get something so that you're not subject to violence. Well, once you lose all your political capital, one or two things gonna happen, right? You're either gonna jump off the cliff from being oppressed, or they're gonna push you off a cliff. And that's where black people are right now in America. You're either gonna, over the next, now you're in a position, what happened with Obama and them setting you up, right, to diffuse your vote, to nullify black voters for more malleable people, right? So now that they got enough of them in the country and they can nullify the black vote, you don't have any political capital. So from this point on, it's all downhill. You're already at the bottom, so now it's gonna be sub-basement. They're gonna push you to the sub-basement, and it's all downhill from there. So you're either going, you know, it's either you kill yourself or we're gonna kill you. Take your pick. You have no more political capital. You're finished economically. You got nothing. You know what I mean? You're not gonna. They're not gonna be able to salvage anything out of this election. No more than they salvage anything out of the Obama election. I mean, unfortunately, the news is bad, right? Like, if there was some good news, I would tell you, right? But this, I'm not selling anything. This is not a Joel Osteen church where I sell you good news so that you can put a donation on your way out the door, right? It's just the facts, right? All you're gonna get is the facts. All you're gonna get is reality, right? This is a reality-based conversation. So the reality is, it's the end of the road, right? Now, what happens now, right? So now that you're at the end of the road, politically, you wasted your time and you wasted your political capital. You blew it. You shot your load with Obama, right? A lot of you were warned. You did it anyway. You wanted a feel-good moment, right? I understand. You wanted that short-term feel-good. Well, now the short-term feel-good is over with. You shot your load with Obama. You blew your load, and then you didn't get smart. You didn't smarten up. You doubled down and you blew. You shot your load again. You put the, not even that. You didn't even have a load. You put the nail. You jumped in the coffin, and then you spiritually nailed it shut with voting for Joe Biden. Not only him, all of the people that run your cities and run your organizations, right? You double down. See, that's one thing I've learned, right? It's one thing to fuck up. It's another thing to double down on that fuck up, right? It's one thing, and because I think you can apologize. Like if you fuck up, you can come back to people. You know what I'm saying? You can come up to them and say, you know what? I fucked up. I made a mistake. I fucked up big time, right? But I ain't, you know what I mean? But it's another thing when you double down, you fuck up and you double down and then you unapologetic. You deserve what you get. Then you deserve everything that's coming to you. Like black people in America. They fucked up, they doubled down, and now they're getting ready to get everything that they deserve. Because why? You have to pay a price, right? Like women in America, the feminists, they say, well, I'm an independent woman. I don't have to be accountable for any of the fuck-ups, any of the horrible mistakes that I commit in society, among the children and the families, etc., right? I'm unaccountable. I hear you. That's bullshit, and you're gonna probably get fed to zombies for thinking like that. Right? There has to be punishment, judgment, right? It's just like a child. If how does he learn? He goes over, he touched the hot stove, he has to burn his hand. And then he realizes, oh shit, I ain't doing that no more. Right? I'm not gonna do that again. There has to be some kind of punishment or the system doesn't work. You see? There has to be checks and balances, trade-offs. You can't, that's why, like, I see dating coaches and shit, they'll say, well, women don't have to be accountable for anything. And I'm thinking to myself, what are you talking about? There has to be accountability, and judgment or balance leaves the system. I mean, if there is no accountability, there is no judgment, there is no action causes a reaction, then you take a child who touches a stove, and a burning hot stove. Well, he'll touch it, burn himself, then eventually he'll just jump inside the stove and burn up. Right? Because he has no mechanism for diffusing his bad behavior. There has to be judgment. There has to be some mechanism, right, to put a stop to it, to a bad decision. You can't just keep doubling down. And then there's no accountability. I don't know who's teaching this kind of illogical bullshit. Why, you know, people are listening to this shit. That's why feminism will never work. That's why, you know, a lot of these, you know, shit they teaching people, these life coaches, dating coaches, and different people, none of this shit will ever work. Right? That's why black people are going to be destroyed in America. They teach black people in America there's no such thing as accountability. You know why? Because they watch white people commit heinous crimes like Gaza, Palestine, the Indian genocide, the transatlantic slave trade, all these different things. They watch people do all of this and never get held accountable for it. So they say, well, that's how life works. There's no such thing as karma. There's no such thing as justice. There's no such thing as balance in the system. Wrong. You would be wrong to believe that. Unfortunately. Right? Justice and destiny will arrive. You can take that to the bank. I don't care what they say. You see? Just like destiny has arrived for black people in America. This is destiny. This is justice, right? A lot of you will not make it out of America over the next few years. Because America's not going to make it. That's the prophecy, you see? Who will survive in America, as the song said? But we already know most black people won't. Why? Because they double down on the worst decisions that they can make. You never double down on bad decisions. Particularly decisions that could affect you collectively, that can wipe you the fuck out. You see? It's one thing if you say, well, you double down on a decision, well, maybe I shouldn't eat this cheeseburger. I should eat this salad today. I should eat cheeseburgers and fries and drink Coke every day. It's another thing when you make a decision that affects your whole family, your whole community, your whole country, etc., right? And then double down on those bad decisions to the point where as though you know, as a family or a community or as a people, you get led into let's say, an ethnic cleansing. That's a whole nother situation, right? Because it doesn't just affect you, it affects everybody collectively. And so people don't understand that. They tell you, oh, it's all about being an individual and different things, right? And they tell you that shit to disarm you and to have you, it's sort of like when the gazelle, the little baby gazelle runs off by himself and then gets eaten by lions. See, being an individual ain't always good. He should have followed the leadership of the rest of the crew, right? The rest of the pack of gazelles or whatever, right? The herd. And so, this is not an individual struggle. And it's not going to end individually. Like the Bible said, ye shall be judged as a nation. You see? Black people, you're going to be judged as the nation and not as an American. That's not the nation that the Bible is talking about. You see? And so, collectively, if you can't do what's right, then the universe is going to get rid of you. And that's what's about to happen. Right? Collectively, you can't see fit to do what's right. By each other, by as a collective or whatever. You see? So not only are you going to get picked off individually, you're going to get dealt with collectively, and you're going to get wiped. You see? Because the blind can't lead the blind. Right? And so black people have squandered their political capital in the United States. Not only that, you squandered your spiritual capital. Right? Not just your political capital, you squandered your spiritual capital. You gave your spiritual capital to people like Barack Obama and Joe Biden, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Fill in the blanks, Democrat, Republican doesn't make a difference. You gave your spiritual capital to people, to the devil, to Satan. You pray, basically, it's like, when I mean, you praying to Satan. You giving your strength to Satan, right? And so that comes with a cost. Right? When you sell out to the devil. And this realistic, so I know I'm talking in abstracts when I talk, maybe seem abstract when I talk about the devil, Satan, whatever. But now back to the, the manifestation of the metaphysics, right? From the spiritual to the physical. Now we see the manifestation in the physical. What do we see? We see a squandering of political capital, right? And we see the end result of that in Joe Biden. You put the nail in your coffin with Joe Biden. I mean, this has been going on since the murder of Dr. King and Malcolm X. But now this is the end game. You in the end game now, right? And so now you see that it's coming to it. You're at the end of the road in America. I mean, America's at the end of the road, but you're at that very end of the road as well. It's going to fall on you first because you're at the bottom economically and socially, etc., right? And so you're going to suffer the brunt at the beginning of this, right? Because you have no more political capital. You squandered that. You put a nail in your coffin. Now they're moving away from you, right? Your only hope is, I'm going to tell you, black people would probably say, oh, we need to save Joe Biden again. They're going to triple down on stupidity, trust me. And they're going to say, well, we got to save Joe Biden. Save him for what? We got to save a segregationist, a genocidal, racist, Nazi, maniac, white man, right? Who tells you, so says shit like, you're not black if you don't vote for me. This white man will say anything to you. He don't give a fuck about you. Right? He talk to you like a dog. Talk to you like you crazy. Just say anything. Old, white, racist man. Nazi man. Right? Commit a genocide right in front of you. Right? I mean, there's all kinds of shit. Right? Totally neglect your community, right? And create a black leadership, help foment a black token leadership class that flushes your ass down the toilet year after year after year after year. The only thing they strengthen in America is the black token class. The black managerial sellout coon class. That's it. When you see them hiring people and these black Supreme Court justices, you say, oh, one day that's going to be me. No, it's not. No, it's not going to be you or one of your kids. You're fucking deluded. Right? These people are put there for a reason. I ain't going to make this too long, but it's the end of the road. There's nothing else to squander, right? You're not getting an economic package. You're not getting reparations, any kind of economic package. You're not getting anything. All you're going to get is flushed down the toilet by this, illegal immigration class, right? That's what this whole thing was about. They tell you, oh, it's diversity, equity, and inclusion. No, it's the end of your ass. That's what it is. But this is the way that we sell it to you, right? We say integration, diversity, equity, right? And you can't figure out that this is a destabilization project. Like putting drugs in your community, or guns, or, you know, whatever, or destroying the schools. It's just a destabilization project. But you're too stupid to understand it. People too stupid to get it. Right? So, yeah, so it is what it is, right? So you have to prepare yourself for that, right? For this shit to crumble and fall apart. And how do you survive, you know, that? You know, how do you survive beyond that? You see? Well, this is not what this video is about. I'm not going to go too far into that. But, you know, but just staying on topic with this situation, right? They've made the decision. As the man said in the beginning of the video, they've made their decision about which route they want to go. They want to go with an immigration route, and, you know, open borders, immigration, and an immigrant class that is more, I mean, what's more malleable. Which is funny is that Negroes is, I mean, they getting the shit stomped out of them, and they not really resistant. And they want a group of people that's even less resistant than the Negroes. That's fucking fascinating. The Negroes are not even resistant on any level. They going along with a bunch of Nazism and a bunch of Satanism, right? Happily, willingly. And they still throwing your ass overboard. What does that say about you? What does it say about you? Right? Sipping my coffee. What does that say about you? When you have made a deal with the devil and all of his workers of iniquity, and he still fuck you over, and then come up with a replacement theory for you, right? A replacement program to stomp the shit out you and ethnically cleanse you. And within the next couple of years, your only choice is going to be either you jump off the cliff or we push you. Take your pick. You and your children, right? Get your children in your arms, and you got a choice. Get them kids, gather them up, hold them tight. Now either you jump off this fucking cliff or I push y'all asses off. Which one would you like? Right? Somebody will probably be saying it to you in Spanish or in some African language or something like that. You may not understand, but you'll get the picture. Right? You'll get the picture because your ass going off that edge of that cliff one way or another. So, you know, it's the door, it's the stairs or the window, motherfucker. Like in the movie, I'm gonna get you sucker, right? Told Damon Wayans, which way you wanna go down? You wanna take the stairs or the window? Either I kick your ass down these stairs or I throw you out this window. Which way you wanna go? Which way you niggas wanna go? Right? I kick you in the ass and push y'all down these steps, or I push y'all asses out this, I throw y'all asses out this window. That's your choices. Right? But like my grandfather used to tell me, it's your bed, right? You made your bed, now you gotta sleep in it. Right? This your bed, you made the bed, now you gotta sleep in that motherfucker. Cause you was warned, probably. I think Martin Luther King warned you, Malcolm X warned you. You was warned. You just thought it was gonna be an easy way out. And you let them tell you it was an easy way out, but it's not. There are no easy ways out in America now. You see? I mean, they bringing in some battle-hardened motherfuckers. They bringing in people from conflict zones, right? A lot of them anti-Negro, right? Anti-black, anti-descendant of slave. Bringing them in from conflict zones, right? Hardcore. Worse than the projects where you probably grew up at. Places where I grew up at. Worse than the projects where I grew up. right? In the hoods I grew up in, right? And they don't like you, Philando Castile. Right? I mean, I'm not gonna make this too much. I mean, if you don't, it's too late anyway, right? I'm just kind of talking to the wind, and it's too late. You see, it's really it's too late to really like people say, let me tell you what's gonna happen. It done happened already, right? There is no warning. This is not a warning. This is just a statement of fucking obvious facts on the ground. It's not a warning. Your warning was 20, 30 years ago. 10 years ago. 10 years ago. Obama was your warning. When you saw Barack Obama, it wasn't the Messiah, motherfucker. It was a warning. He was a harbinger of death and destruction coming. When you saw Obama and you didn't figure out what he was, let me say this and I'm gonna go. Let me explain something to you Negroes. That was the harbinger, the angel of death coming for you. That was a harbinger of darkness coming. That was, you can call it whatever you want. But you thought it was the, resurrection of Martin Luther King. You thought it was the resurrection of Malcolm X. You thought it was, God sent from Jesus Christ. When it really was the worst mistake that Negroes was going to make in the history of their time in this country. Now, it fully manifests itself, right? 15 years after Obama. The full manifestation of the bad choice of the harbinger of what he was. Now you got to deal with it. And you don't know what to do. Right? All I can tell you is pray for divine intervention. That's all I got.